Good evening and welcome to Face to Face. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Niresh Eliyatambi. The creation of humans who are better, faster, stronger, and who lead longer lives has been the dream and the prediction of science fiction movies for perhaps half a century. We've all seen those movies and we all wonder, when will that be realized? With advances in genetics and AI, humankind is perhaps now on the brink of just such a reality. And to talk about this very interesting subject indeed, to all of us, I have with me Mark Notton, who is the founder and CEO of ReviveDNA, and Gihan Mendis, who is the co-founder of Engenuity AI. Good evening and welcome, gentlemen.
Good evening. Nice to be here.
Good right. We are talking about cutting-edge technology, the most advanced and perhaps one of the most beneficial advances in technology, in science over the decades. And now you gentlemen have actually turned it into something very practical. And I'd like you, Mark, to explain how this is done and what your company is doing.
Yes, yeah, I'd love to. So essentially what we do at ReviveDNA is we help people. That's the core and the DNA of our business. And the way that we do that is by helping our clients and users understand their body at a cellular level. So we are all different. We all have different strengths and weaknesses. But thanks to a lot of great work from scientists over the last 20 to 30 years, we've managed to sequence the entire human genome. And then once that has happened, scientists have been able to examine and explore to try and understand what is it that makes us unique, what is it that makes us be good at some things and not so good at other things. And by using that body of evidence and that science which has been developed both for athletic performance for our elite athletes or by healthy aging for our longevity clients, we're able to take that science and bring it to people in a way that is very simple to firstly understand and secondly to put into action. And the way we do that is by giving plans on supporting clients on their health or performance issues, by giving them nutrition, supplement and lifestyle recommendations to support their body to be the best that it can be with the genetics that they have. Right.
So in a nutshell, Gihan, perhaps you'd like to come in here. Each of us, our DNA, our genes do dictate to a certain level what we would be predisposed to be, in the sense there are people who they can diet and exercise all they can, but they still would put on weight, whereas others would eat a lot more and exercise less, but they wouldn't put on weight. So there's a lot of genetics in this. And when you talk about medical areas, I mean, we all know that if your father and grandfather and so on were more predisposed towards a certain condition, you might be as well. So in a broad sense, what you guys are doing is taking this, the mapping of the genes and turning it into a practical usage, isn't it?
Absolutely. So essentially, just like Mark said, we're in the cutting edge of being able to decipher what the human genome is, what DNA looks like. So obviously getting it there, defining it and then analyzing it and then getting it to the masses is actually an effort. So technically speaking, what we do is that we are helping to democratize that process by being able to get multiple people accessibility to this technology and the platform. So one way to do that is obviously to have a particular platform that can help you to distinguish yourself and be able to engage with your information securely, as well as in terms of be able to access it at the correct time in the correct quantity for you. So for example, what you need to do, how much of it do you need to do, what do you don't need to do. These are the three important things, right? So our technology stack that we build around Mark's work is helping Mark today to take that to the market. And essentially this tech development is now done here in Sri Lanka. So we have a 100% local team developing the tech for the platform that is required.
Right. Now, Mark, just explain to our viewers how this is done, because it's not some complex series of blood tests or anything like that, is it?
No. I mean, it used to be back in the day, but now it's very simple. So all we provide and all we need is they take a cheek swab. So it looks, the way I try to explain it, it's like a COVID test, but without the trauma of having to put it in. So it's very simple. Quick cheek swab takes 60 seconds. And what that uses, that enables us to extract the DNA information from the individual. So that's the uniqueness. We take that and send it to one of our labs around the world for sequencing. That takes around 3 to 4 weeks for us to process that sample and turn it into data. Once we turn that into data, that's what we then use to then decipher each person's individuality. So your example that you used is a good one of some people may overeat and some people may not be hungry. There's like specific genetics that are coded that help us to predict whether someone will be like that or not. And even within my own family, I have one son who is predisposed to not want to eat too much, another one that is. And when you see the genetics together, there's a specific gene called FTO. It's nicknamed the fatso gene, but one who could be coded in one way and one coded in another will change the outcome. And the reason it does that is it changes how quickly you sense that you are full. So some people would then continue to eat because they haven't got the signal that they're full, whilst another will get that signal earlier and be full. So, and that's just coded from our genes. And there's very simple ways to and then overcome that. So if we can explain to a client, oh, you're probably more likely to just keep eating, and they'll go, yes. So the way around that is if you have a very small handful of nuts and seeds and berries about half an hour before, that starts the process for that gene to start acting. So when you start eating your full meal, you get full quicker. So it's understanding the genetics, which is quite scientific and can be maybe scary to some people as it's genetics, and making a very practical insight which helps people. And that's what we do. We try and turn things that are very complex into things that are very simple and actionable. Right.
And Gihan, now we see the role that Mark's company is playing, and it's in many countries. But what about the Sri Lankan side of it? How did you guys get into that? And it would surprise a lot of our viewers that such expertise is here in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially, we are, how would you call it, a startup, so to speak. We started off 5 years ago. The core of ethos of setting up the enterprise or this company was that we are able to build a center of excellence, bring in the practitioner, the academia, and the industry together in one place to be able to solve common problems using tech, AI, and data science. So essentially, Engenuity AI is a data science and an AI company. And we have practitioners working alongside the industry experts, the SMEs, and we try to build solutions that are agnostic to a product, agnostic to an industry, but centric to a problem. So that's the ethos of it. So we basically do serve clients across the globe, helping them develop different pieces of tech. So we have fashion, we have health, wellness, we have logistics and transport. Where we go in, we try to understand the crux of the problem. And most of the time, most of the problems that you have are either optimization, supply and demand, like, human problems. Revive in that context is slightly different because it's actually augmenting human nature. It's helping people to live better, to do better. So we get into contract with Mark based on the actually, I think we started developing a website for you first, right? We helped you with some website work, and he reached out and said, can you help us with doing some design for the website? And then like he got to know, like, we do a lot more work. And then I think we've cultivated a relationship for about past 2 years where we helped him to develop the tech stack around it. And today I think we kind of manage the entire estate in terms of the tech development for Mark.
Yeah.
Right. So Mark, would you like to tell our viewers how you got into this? Because you originally were in a different industry, but then you happened to come into this one.
Yeah, so I used to work in mobile technology. So I worked for some of the biggest tech companies around the world. I did 12 and a half years at Motorola. I worked for Samsung for 7.5 years, and I was running their European mobile business. So lots of interviews like this. I was the guy that stood on stage and introduced the next big Samsung products. They've got a launch coming up soon, so I used to do that job. Back in 2017, my wife actually got sick, so she had an operation to remove her gallbladder, which is quite a routine operation. It's usually you're in the day, you're out the next day, but her body didn't react very well to it. It was quite complicated, and as a result, she had like an immune cascade where her body was trying to fight something to try and solve a problem, and it got stuck in this autoimmune reaction that specifically attacked her joints. So she was worked with all the best specialists trying to get the best drugs to try and take the pain away. She was waking up and crying every day in pain, so it's quite a debilitating issue, and they couldn't fix her. So there was a time that lockdown happened, so we couldn't fly anywhere. So I decided if the doctors couldn't help her, then I'd just do it myself. I'm quite persistent, maybe, and I had a problem that I wanted to solve for my wife. So I studied biochemistry and nutrition for 2 years. I'm a registered nutritionist, gut health specialist, and we built a plan for her. We sequenced her genetics, and I applied the science that I was reading myself to what the science that I saw coming back from a genetics file. We found a few areas where her genes were coded in a way that made her maybe more susceptible for this in a traumatic experience. So we targeted specific genes with specific supplements and then changed her diet. And within 3 weeks, all her pain went away. And then 3 months later, she actually lost the use of her hands for about 3 months, but that all came back to normal within 3 months' time. And she then studied for a second degree in psychology to kind of help other people with health conditions. So that's how we got into it. And it felt good to help my wife. It felt good to help other people and friends and family. So then we started the business. We focused on helping people with kind of illnesses, people that have tried everything and it's failed them. We just get straight to the root cause. So by understanding the data, like I'm very logical. If I can see data, I can see the root cause and the science that's explained how to make small changes to improve that, then it's very logical for it just to work. So we started that business there. We now work not only with clients in longevity clinics and life extension, but also with pro athletes around the world. So we have a load of elite athletes in the US, in the UK. We got some here at the T20 World Cup, some of the cricketers over here as well. So we work with performance improvements and things there as well. So yeah, that's how we got into it, and that's why I'm here now.
Right. So it's very interesting because you worked with athletes in, I think, the UK, the Premier League football, and then in North America in the NHL, ice hockey, and then UFC, Ultimate Fighting, rugby football, and UCL World Tour Cycling as well, among the many organizations. And it sort of stands to reason, doesn't it? Because all these clubs are investing millions of dollars or pounds into their athletes, and they want to get the optimum out of it. And this also has to do with injuries and recovery and so on.
Yes, that's right. It's you can apply the science to anything because it's the human body. So it's really making sure that as long as there's good enough data, a good enough science, you can make an improvement. So a couple of examples of what we help with, we work with some athletes who have chronic recurring injuries. There's often due to maybe a way that a collagen gene is coded, or whether how well the blood vessels can dilate, so how well blood can get into the muscle. So we change things through diet and nutrition to help dilate the blood vessels. We have other clients where they have hormonal issues, so both in the sports sense and in like perimenopause and transition for women as well, understanding how to change gene expression to kind of help with that. There's clients that have gut health issues, people that just don't sleep well. I mean, we have some of our NHL athletes, they're flying every day. They've got a game here, they're on a plane to this one. Is a very chaotic lifestyle. So being able to tell them how to improve their sleep and what supplements and foods they can help to help improve, then they get a better rest, and then the next day they perform better. So everyone has health issues. Like, nobody is perfect. And what we try and do for clients is understand what they want help with and deliver action plans for them and make it very simple. And it feels good to help people. And that's what we do at Revive.
Absolutely. And an interesting point which you were showing me before the show was that it's your mobile phone which is the interface, isn't it? All this data is uploaded onto a platform, and your mobile phone is both controlling you, and you can ask it for advice and so on. How does that work?
Yeah, so we've built our own platform, or more like Gihan and his team has built our own platform, which houses all of our science. So we have a team of scientists who have reviewed all the science. We only include things which are well studied. We do not include things which are not. So once we have that data available, then we deliver that to users in a simple way. So we have a web app they can log in through their laptop or tablet or on their smartphone. So when they log in onto the smartphone, we have a consultation with one of our experts where they say, well, what do you want help with? They make a review and make a plan, and then everything is delivered through the mobile. So what should I have for breakfast? For athletes, what should I do before training? For people that want help with sleep, what should I do to help myself sleep better? That's the plan that then get built. And then what Gihan and his team at Engenuity are building for us right now is an AI chatbot layer on top of that, which is understanding the genetics of the individual. It's fully secure within all of our environment, so that if you have an issue and you wake up one day and your muscles are sore, or you have pain somewhere, or you didn't sleep great, or you've got a migraine, you can just talk to the application and say, I've got this problem, how can I solve it? And it will talk back to you based on your genetics with what you should do based on the available science. So very simple and easy interface for something which is super complex and scientific.
Right. And Gihan, this is personalized, isn't it? So each person can, interact with his or her phone or the platform on the phone and get remarkable advice about day-to-day activities.
Absolutely. So yeah, each DNA is unique. Yeah. And everything that you need to do in your life is also unique and coded by that. So we try to give that same experience to the user, so that everybody who uses it gets a unique and a different experience which is bespoke for you. So getting it out there it becomes very interesting, because as soon as you know what you got to do during the day and how you want to modulate yourself, it makes life so much easier if you want to really manage it and let the system manage you as well. But that doesn't mean the system is going to take over anything. It's just that giving you what you should avoid, what you should focus. So it's like having your nutritionist, your health practitioner right next to you all the time, which is an opportunity in itself. And especially if we were to extrapolate this into the global south, I think there is so much of opportunity for us to do corrections as we go in terms of general health, in terms of well-being, in terms of longevity, that it can do. Of course, we're very far away from there because getting into the masses becomes a different ball game altogether. But I think that should be kind of one of the futures that we envisage, in sense, how do we get people connected? How do we, especially in economies like us where we offer free healthcare, if we can curate that free healthcare, so our resources get, deployed better, the medication, the practitioners get deployed better, efficiency overall improves. So even from a governmental cost perspective, this can actually drive down cost, increase operational efficiency. That's at a very macro level. But when it comes to the micro singular person, you are basically now aware of what's going on in your body, what could potentially go on in your body, and also give you the ability to make an informed decision on how you should act for the future, which is, I think, a huge opportunity and something that was, not possible a couple of years ago. And you wouldn't have even dreamt it probably 5-10 years ago.
Right. And I'd like to get into more detail on that, where this could be applied to the general population, perhaps in the future. But first we need to take a short commercial break. I am in conversation with Mark Notton and Gihan Mendis. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
ඉතිහාසයේ ශ්‍රී ලාංකේය සියලුම බොක්ස් ඔෆිස් වාර්තා බිඳ දමමින්
ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක් සර්.
තිරගත වී දින 26කින් ලක්ෂ 3000 සීමාව පසු කළ එකම සහ ප්‍රථම සිනමා පටය ධර්ම යුද්ධය 2 වාර්තා අලුත් කරයි. දර්ශන වාර හවුස්ෆුල් වන බැවින් ඔබේ ටිකට් පත කලින්ම වෙන් කරවා ගන්න. ධර්ම යුද්ධය 2 පවුලේ සැමට දැන් තිරගත වේ.
රාජ්‍ය පරිපාලන කටයුතු ඩිජිටල් කරණය කිරීම පිළිබඳ.
ඩිජිටල් කරණය අනිවාර්යෙන් ලංකාවට උචිතද නැද්ද කියලා.
ලියාපදිංචි කිරීමේ ආයතනවල තොරතුරු බලන්න පුළුවන් ඒගොල්ලන්ට විතරයි.
මිනිසාට මත්ද්‍රව්‍ය භාවිතය අහිතකරයි. හැබැයි මිනිස්සු මත්ද්‍රව්‍ය භාවිතා කරනවා.
මුළු විවාදය පුරාවටම යෝජකයෝ කළේ අන්තර්ජාතික පතගෑමක්.
Sirasa debater with AAT Sri Lanka.
ඉරිදා සවස 6ට.
එයා නොකා නොබී බඩගින්න ඉන්නවයි කියලා හිතන්න බෑනේ අම්මා. එයා ගෙදරට 10ක් එවන්න නම් එයා ගාව කීයක් තියෙන්න ඕනිද?
අනිතික පුංචරා කියන විදිහට මිනිහාගේ වෙනස්කම් පටන් ගන්න තියෙන්නේ සිම් ටික නැති වෙනත් එක්ක.
තේරුම් ගන්නම මේ ගෙවෙන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝගේ ජීවිතේ ලස්සන දවස්. ඔයගොල්ලෝගේ විතරක් නෙමෙයි මගේ ජීවිතේ.
අද රාත්‍රී 8:30ට
සිරස ටෙලිතිරයෙන්.
ඔයාට කෙල්ලෙක් ලැබෙනවා නම් හොඳයි. එතකොට ඉතින් අපේ පවුලට කොල්ලොත් ඉන්නවා කෙල්ලොත් ඉන්නවා.
තව මාස 9ක් විතර යනකොට උඹලට මල්ලි කෙනෙක් හරි නංගි කෙනෙක් හරි හම්බ වෙයි.
එතකොට සීයේ මාමලාද?
විරාජ් කියලා තියෙන්නේ වාසිතාපහුව මේ ලංකාවෙන් යනකම් ඔයාට පල්ලෙහා ටේබල් එකට යන්න කියලා.
මම නොදන්නවා ඒ සහෝදර ප්‍රේමී. සහෝදර ප්‍රේමී උතුරා යන හින්දා වෙන්නේ නැති මල්ලිව ගෙදරින් එරලා මේ ගෙදර පදිංචි වුණා.
කොටෝ අද රාත්‍රී 9:30ට සිරස ටෙලිතිරයෙන්.
Welcome back to Face to Face. I am with Mark Notton, who is the founder and CEO of ReviveDNA, and Gihan Mendis, who is the co-founder of Engenuity AI. Now, Mark, it strikes me that what you guys have done is brought together many branches of science and technology and put it together in a most ingenious manner in the way that humankind can get the optimal usage and benefit. Would you like to comment on all the different sciences and economic sectors that you've brought together to achieve this?
Yeah, so my background is, I guess, fairly unique because of the things that I've done through my career. I've worked various different places and lived around different parts of the world. Always been working on the cutting edge of technology, so I kind of understand enough around tech to be able to see how this could be brought to life. When it comes to science, I'm obviously self-taught more recently, but we have a team of amazing scientists who have been studying for 15, 20 years in this space. We have PhDs in Nutrigenomics, so that's the kind of the area of science that we really focus on. So it's genomics part, so that's the genes, and nutri, which is nutrition. So it's how does your body use nutrients in order for it to either act more efficiently or less efficiently. So we've all had times where we've eaten the wrong things or drunk too much of this, and you know your body feels terrible, and that's because your body is processing that. In the other sense, you know when you have a really healthy meal or you do a workout, your body feels great because you're feeding good inputs or bad inputs into the body. The difference is with nutrigenomics is not all inputs are good or bad to people's bodies. So some people, they do really well drinking milk. Some people do terribly drinking milk, as one example, and that's because we're different and the way we process nutrients is different. So that part is one of the parts of the science. We've also got the nutrition science, so it's looking at how are these molecules formulated, looking at their chemical structures, how they bond to receptors in our bodies. That one's a really important part of it. And then you've also got all the technology science of the AI and the other science around that, which Gihan and his team have built, and then also sports science. So we have a load of sports science expertise in our body that understands when an athlete is training, what is going on in their body, and then how are their genetics influencing that. So we're able to work with sports teams to then build specific recovery modalities for individuals. Some people do really well with hot water immersion, others very well with cold water immersion, but unless you know based on their genetics, then you're just guessing. So what we like to say that we do at ReviveDNA is we use the science to remove the guesswork. When you have your plan, you can ignore Instagram, ignore TikTok, or ignore what your friend's saying down in the restaurant that you should do, because you have your plan for you. And on top of that, we also explain why. So this is what you should do, this is why. And when you have your plan and you know why, it's such a relief of the mind, if more than anything, is you know what you need to do and you can stop guessing.
Right. And many people who go and consult a dietitian, for example, and say, I want to lose weight, and the dietitian just looks at you and asks you a few questions. What kind of job do you have? What time do you wake up? What time do you go to sleep? Do you drink and smoke? And then the dietitian will sort of give you a plan and say, do this, eat this at this time, drink so much water, and so on. But that's not 100% at all, is it? Because many people, it might work, but for many, it doesn't work. And then they turn around and say, oh, that dietitian's no good. But in actual fact, the dietitian is giving a very broad plan, which from the surface, it looks okay, but DNA-wise, it may be, exactly the opposite. So, what you guys are doing is bringing genetics into it and personalizing it, which is fabulous.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, and dietitians and nutritionists do like an amazing job. So, I mean, I work in this field now for the last 5 years, and anyone that can understand and help, because food is medicine. Like you look at the science and it's there in the science, and we've evolved not to rely on drugs and medication. We've evolved to rely on food and the natural resources that we have. So what we're doing is we're just overlaying more data. So as we evolve, we get more information that's based on science that helps us be better. We've now got cars that run on electricity, and they used to run with a small motor that goes up. So as we evolve, then we see nutritionists, we see dietitians all starting to move into this field because they want to help people, and the more information that they can get access to help people, the better. The issue has been is it's very complicated science. Like you need to be a PhD in nutrition and genetics to read the paper, to understand what it's saying, and then put it into practice. And the average dietitian and nutrition doesn't have time to do that, so because they're too busy helping clients. So that's what we've done, is we focused on really building something which enables them to help clients more effectively. And what we also see from the data is when somebody has a plan which is designed for their genetics, then the adherence goes way up as well. So rather than speaking to somebody and getting something which could be interpreted as a generic advice, when it's designed for your genetics and your body, and then you try it for 4 weeks and you start seeing these massive improvements, the compliance goes back up. So really, by using the science and using the data, we get better outcomes.
Right. And Gihan, from your point of view, how could a country like ours, Sri Lanka, benefit from this? I mean, obviously, when you think of the cricket team, yes, if our Sri Lanka cricket or rugby, if they get into this and utilize this kind of technology, then we can expect better performances physically, and just all around better fitness and so on. But beyond that, do you see any usage beyond that as well?
Yeah, I mean, so firstly, we tried to speak to Sri Lankan cricket. I think we're speaking to them next week. Some officials from there. We've also spoken to some practitioners here, and we continue to speak to them. But in terms of the Sri Lanka per se, in that context, I think technologies like this is going to be able to help economies to, at least on average, be able to persuade people to live a better life and to live a life that is curated for them, in terms of nutrition, in terms of energy, in terms of movement, in terms of brain health, in terms of being able to take precautions and preventive methods. So it's more like prescriptive preventive medication, right? Prescribed for your personal requirement. Now, if you were to extrapolate that into the masses, into the general healthcare system, that is going to be, even for the practitioner today, like you rightly said earlier, we were discussing about why this technology is different, because it gives you the aggregated learning. As soon as you have a system, you are not a one singular person. You are having the capacity of that entire learning system, the federated system, where you have the aggregated learnings that you can rely on. So tomorrow, even for the practitioner who wants to apply this technology, it becomes seamless, because then it becomes a second nature to the practice, because you already have a whole heap of information and data points that will help you to guide with the correct prescription to the correct person, and it will be customized to each person. So I think for this kind of thing to work, a couple of things have to be in place in countries like ours. One is there has to be administrative thought process, top down, saying that we go in tech first. But of course, there's going to be lots of contention about it, but then that's a different conversation. Then secondary is that you have to have, and most importantly, is the system or the platform. So today in Sri Lanka, we are also talking about digital public infrastructure, which can be available for all citizens, cross-platform, across different genres of ministries, of applications, so on and so forth. So if we can proliferate this kind of tech through that kind of platform, so it's digital first, it's healthcare first, wellness, well-being first, then I think it's very easy to streamline and send this technology down to the grassroots, and obviously improve the health of the nation overall. Again, I'm saying it's possible, but then there are certain things that have to happen for that to work. But certainly from a technology perspective and also the science perspective, it's available.
It's already there.
It's already there.
Right. Of course, society usually takes a while to catch up and implement, especially in countries like ours. Whereas if you take countries like Singapore, they're always trying to implement the latest technology. So it's a little different there. But when you take, let's take Sri Lanka's health system, and we have an excellent health service, doctors, nurses, hospitals, and so on. But the healthfulness of our population is perhaps not at the level that it should be. We don't eat right, we don't sleep right, we don't drink and smoke right. You know, we have a lot of bad habits. Our diet, we all know that, you know, rice and sugar and flour, it's not great for us, but still, you know, Sri Lankans have a sweet tooth, and we continue to go, you know, in that direction. But if you have this personalized, where each person's DNA is mapped, and then just like, you know, like all your other tests, which nowadays people have that test. They take an X-ray or a CT scan, and they have it, and when they go to the hospital, they take the file with them. This could be something, perhaps a few years down the road, that this could be something which is routine, and then doctors could look at that and diagnose accordingly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the more data points you have, the more finer, refined the model is going to be. So essentially, today we look at DNA, right? Tomorrow, right now, we can also look at your blood work and then say, okay, you have your DNA, you have a blood work, now put these together and you layer it, and you get a better, more focused, bespoke model. Then throughout the day, I mean, these are two static pieces of information. DNA will not change. The blood work may change based on how you prescribe medication or supplements or nutrition. Then you also today, you know, everybody has smartwatches, wearable technology, so integrate that layer also onto that. Meaning now you know exactly at any given point of time what your health status is, right? And that amount of information, having it at your fingertips, is very liberating for a person, because you right now know exactly what's going on with you and why it's going on, and probably at which time it's going on, which is a very rare privilege to even have thought of, to be able to achieve. So it is like, you know, you really don't, I'm not saying that you're not going to need a practitioner, you're going to need a practitioner, you know, we don't want to chase all the doctors away, but essentially, like, you know, for all of these people, it's augmenting, right? Like we discussed earlier, it's not about replacing anybody, but it's about augmenting people, even the nutritionists, the practitioners, the medical staff, the users themselves, to help themselves better and to do higher scale things, activity, and then hand over the lower scale things to technology. And that is the whole purpose of technology as well, right? Thinking of technology is that we are able to kind of offload the menial tasks to tech, and then concentrate and think more of the more important stuff, and then be able to spend your time and effort in the things that you love doing.
Now, Mark, this technology that you've brought together, it's very liberating, isn't it? This is not something that our grandparents were privy to, so they had no clue. Your grandfather might suddenly have a heart attack. No one knew why. He may have actually lived a very good life. He may have been a vegetarian. He, you know, didn't smoke and so on. But then he may not have lived very long. Whereas someone else, because of genetics, you know, might have been eating all the wrong stuff, but still lived longer. But now with this type of technology, you can pretty much, I mean, it's not 100%, of course, but you can map out a lot of the, you know, what a person is more predisposed towards.
Yeah, that's right, and it's predisposition, because we can't obviously change the genetics we were born with. So when we come with clients and they have very bad health issues, we tell them, well, you need to choose your parents very wisely, because you are the combination of your mother and your father. But when people come to us and they say, well, my dad had this issue or my mum had this issue, and I'm concerned, do I have a predisposition? And we're like, well, what do you think? They're like, yeah, probably do. It's like, yes, because it's genetics. But then what we can then do is we can say, based on the science that's been done over here, we know which part of the body is responsible for these areas, and also how to change their gene expression to make them reduce the risk. So it's really empowering, both from a mindset of, okay, I know why, I know my potential risk, but I also have a plan to mitigate it. So nothing is ever perfect. The science is not perfect, it's continually evolving. But purely the understanding of the why with an action plan is in itself very strong. And then from me as a well, not just taking out the business owner part, as a human, when I mean, I'll tell you a recent story from one of our clients. So his daughter has been struggling a lot. She has a specific issue with her lungs, and she has massive scarring on the inside of her lungs because her body generates inflammatory proteins that impact her lungs and meant she has lots of scarring on it. So we sequenced her genetics with her parents, and we told her why, and there was specific genes which create too much mucus in the lungs in particular, which then react with some other things which cause the scarring. So we asked her to remove certain things from the diet, increase other things. They called me last week. They had a scan for her lungs after being on this for 3 months. The doctors looked at them and said, "What did you do? There's no scarring anymore." And that is the call from the parents to me, from what my team's done and what the science team, the tech team have done. We're helping humans at the end of the day, and that's what we like to do, is we just help people. So the fact that his daughter now has no scarring on the lungs, and the doctor's looking, thinking, "What did you do?" and it's nutrition and it's understanding the body, is just really liberating for people, and just great. It makes me feel good as well.
Wonderful. That's a really heartening story. I'm afraid we're almost out of time, but I'll let you gentlemen have one final word each. Gihan, for you as a Sri Lankan, to be part of such an enormous project, which will have far-reaching consequences around the world, and you've got a Sri Lankan team and you're doing it here in Colombo, how does that make you feel?
I mean, it's an absolute privilege to have been working alongside a team like Mark's. Also have this very open relationship in being able to develop cool tech, and also more importantly to be aligned in terms of thought process, because we, I think, both go in from the perspective of saying, can we do something better for society, can we do something better for humanity, can we make it work seamlessly so that everybody benefits. So the equity of this entire thing is, I think, the key plus. And also being able to bring in so many Sri Lankan flavors into the development. And like he's even got Sri Lankan recipes now on and developing, you know, also seeing whether we can get supply chain in there, because there is so much of Sri Lankan produce that is there. Can we bring those in? Can we do those recommendations? You know, Ayurvedic, you know, past is, we have a rich heritage, right, of supplements, of food items that may not have been even, you know, previously known use. So what can we do more to ensure that we are able to cultivate it in terms of religion? But it has been a brilliant relationship, and it's helped us grow in knowledge, in capacity, and then I'm sure that, you know, we've been able to reach out. I think today we have more than 240 athletes, pro athletes.
Yeah, more actually. More? Yeah, more than that.
More than that.
Yeah, it's up to 400.
400.
Athletes, yeah.
So that's it. That in itself is proof of the pudding, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Mark, where do you see this technology going in the next couple of years?
So for us, the technology is there and available. We don't work with too many people because we have a very kind of concierge service where we like to really solve problems for people. So AI is really important for automating some tasks, but I don't feel that it has a place yet in communicating people with their health issues. If you have a problem that you want to solve, you don't really want to offload that to AI because it gives bad decisions. So from us, we want to continue to make sure we have that relationship with the client. But as we build up the science and the technology, we're able to then spread that out, and AI can take up some of the heavy lifting to then democratize that out even further. So if anyone's watching this and thinking, I have a problem that I might want help with, then we brought some of our kits here to Sri Lanka on this trip. So if you do want to, then you can go and order from ReviveDNA.com, and we'd be happy to help.
Absolutely. And I'm afraid we are out of time. My thanks to Mark Notton, founder and CEO of ReviveDNA, and Gihan Mendis, co-founder of Engenuity AI. Thank you very much for being with me this evening, gentlemen. I'm sure that our viewers learnt as much as I did in this short span of time, and the future certainly looks a lot brighter with such technology being implemented in society. And thank you to you at home for watching. Don't go away because the news is coming up next. Have a great evening.